60s gets pretty interesting. Okay, Oscar Robertson versus Jerry West. I want to hear your opinion on this one too. This is a
Oh,
really interesting opinion, right? I pull up the
I would
stats
take
too.
Oscar.
See, that's what most people would take Oscar.
I
I
would
would
take
take.
Oscar. However, it also depends on who you match him up with as well. It really
Mhm,
depends. Because, for example, Jerry West is an amazing pure shooter, pure scorer.
mhm,
So if you match him up with, say, imagine if you match him with Bill Russell, and Bill Russell's doing all the dirty work, or even Will
yeah.
Chamberlain, and he's doing all the dirty work, and then you got Jerry West. Well, actually, Will Chamberlain did play with Jerry West, and then you got Jerry West just doing his thing. That's actually a pretty deadly matchup. But at the same time, Oscar is giving you the triple doubles. It's kind of tough to beat that as well.
Okay, I'm gonna make my argument for Jerry West, and he's actually one of my favorite players ever. Here's why. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
most people choose Oscar Robertson because
Mm-hmm.
stats wise he was a beast. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
West, I'm gonna say West was better. The reason is because first
Mm-hmm.
of all he was a better teammate. I mean Oscar's a good teammate, but I don't think anyone would consider West like he was just the leader of that Lakers team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, even when Baylor, Goodrick, Wilt, West was kind of the center of that, kind of like how Curry was the center of the Warriors dynasty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, West was he was a better shooter. He was a much better defender. So he actually got Oscar didn't have any all defensive. West got a couple all defensive. He would have more, if there were more back in his day. So another thing is, if you look at the points per game in the playoffs, Jerry West ups his game in the playoffs, right? So if you look at the playoff stats, his scoring average goes all the way up to 29 points a game, which is one of the highest playoff scoring averages ever. And Oscar's, I think, he actually drops below his regular season scoring average. I think he goes down quite a bit actually. See, 22 points a game. So that matters, right? I think Jerry West was a better playoff performer. He's a better shooter from the perimeter, and he's a better defender, and he's more clutch. I mean, his nickname was Mr. Clutch, right? And he won Finals MVP on the losing team, the only player ever to do so. I actually think Jerry West is like the most complete guard before Michael Jordan, right? He was perfectly like shooting wise, scoring wise, defense and offense, clutchness, killer instinct, competitiveness, being a good teammate, everything. That's why he's a logo, right? He's the most complete, perfect guard before Michael Jordan, I think.
Assist comparisons. What do you think? What's the difference there?
West is he's more of a combo guard. Okay, so he's listed as PG actually for most of Basketball References things, but
Mm-hmm.
he's more of a combo guard. I would
Yeah.
say
Yep.
Oscar more of a pure PG.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
you can see his assist numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
West can also assist. He's also a really good assister as well, and he
Mm-hmm.
played PG for actually most of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so his numbers, if you just look at his numbers, okay, Oscar beats some of the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say it's the other things, right? Like being the two-way player and upping his level in the playoffs is what
Mm-hmm.
West gets from me. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's tough though. They're
It's
both really
tough.
good.
That's very tough. For me, I would go Oscar Robertson because of the fact that he's a better playmaker. He gets
Hmm.
more assists overall. And because right now we get to choose our favorite players, so he's gonna be surrounded by some pretty good players. And
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm not even asking you to
yeah,
build the
yeah,
best like talented team here. I'm asking you to build the
yeah.
best team that you think would fit together, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah, yeah. But I think just the fact that for me, because I get to choose a lot of different players to put around and put some really good guys around. So choosing a guy that actually can pass well and also help out with the rebounds on the boards, and then you surround him with a lot of great scores as well. I think that might be really beneficial. Whereas someone like West, who can score really well, that's really great for anchoring a team
Hmm.
when you don't have much around you, because then you can rely on that one guy to score all the time. But since we have the choice of so many good players right now, I would rather take the guy that can actually make the
All
pass
right,
but also score too. Yeah, in my opinion.
all right.
And then
SG, we got again. These are combo guys back then, but these guys are pretty
mm,
much more SG-ish. I didn't put West here because he was more. Actually, found out he was more of a PG.
mhm.
Hal Greer, Sam Jones, I think are probably top two options. Not many people know about Richie Guerin, but he was actually pretty decent as well. But I would say Greer or Jones is probably the options here. Which ones you pick?
That's a tough one. Jones and Greer are pretty close.
I'm gonna choose
I
what?
would probably go with Jones.
You go Jones.
Yeah.
Jones, I would say definitely one of the most clutch players for sure. I would go with Greer. I mean, he was second team All NBA for like most of the decade.
Hmm.
Jones only 3 times, I think. Greer was like 7 time. I don't know. They're both really good. Greer was a good shooter. He was one of the best shooters of his day. He even used his jump shot as a free throw shooting technique.
Right.
All right. In the SF, you have probably the most loaded position in the 60s. Baylor, obviously, the top, and then Cunningham, DeBusschere is really good rebounder, defensive player.
Connie
Hawkins.
Hawkins. This is a tough one too. I go with Elgin.
Baylor.
Yeah, I'll go with Baylor.
Probably that's what most people would choose here. I might go with DeBusschere here, actually. Reason, Baylor is a good player, but I don't know. I found like in this situation, if you just want to create the best team with the best chemistry, I'm not necessarily playing just on the stats and the talent here. I mean, obviously Baylor has monstrous stats, but DeBusschere for the defense, for just being that glue guy, I think.
Yeah.
You think of
For
him
me, it's
as
because
yeah.
Oscar, I think he matches pretty well with Baylor if they
Mhm.
actually team up together. And I think also so the next one's power forward,
Yeah,
Willis
so
Reed.
I put Willis Reed here. Most people think of him as a center, but he actually played more power forward in the 60s, which he's kind of one of those cases where he was straddling right between the 60s and 70s, but I put him in the 60s because he had a little bit more years there. And he's listed more as a power forward in the 60s. So Willis Reed and Jerry Lucas, I would say. This is a Jerry Lucas, incredible rebounder. Willis Reed, obviously the intangibles of leading that Knicks team. Then there's Tom Heinsohn too, 8 rings, part of that Celtics dynasty. Which one would you go with?
I'll probably take Lucas in this one.
Oh, Lucas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best rebounders, I think. It's super smart guy, too.
Yep. I
Um,
mean, I love the Willis Reed moment, like for sure. But yeah, I like the rebounding.
I put Reed here. I mean, I already have DeBusschere. I already saw those two play in the car. I mean, Lucas is great, but yeah, Reed, man, his short prime. But Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell. I think we discussed this. Who would you pick again?
It really comes down to who their teammates are going to be.
Yep.
But if I had to choose,
Okay, with this team, Oscar, Jones, Bale, and Lucas.
you see, here's the thing. I think that Wilt Chamberlain actually matches up maybe better with even with Oscar. And I think West actually matches up pretty well with either of these guys. But West also can match up pretty well with Bill Russell because West is score.
Yep.
West is more of a pure scorer. So if you have Bill Russell just doing all the dirty work, that works out very well too between the two of them. Oscar is more of a facilitator. Oscar can do everything. He can score, facilitate, and rebound. So him facilitating and also helping with Wilt Chamberlain is. But you know what? I'll go Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
I'll go Bill Russell.
I mean, you got Jones there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, you mentioned before, he had the intangibles.
Yep.
I go with Wilt. I mean, I already have West and Greer. Wilt already played with them both. And yeah, need that good anchor, that dominant guy who can't be dominant when the time comes to it. Nate Thurman is also a good choice, but obviously there's two clear options there.